everyone. Today we will continue our discussion on literary elements. And for this session, we will have the conflict or the problems being encountered by the characters in the story. And let's first dig deeper by giving the actual definition of what a conflict is. Of course, every story worth reading has a conflict. If there is no conflict, there is no tension. And some stories has multiple or have multiple conflicts. So I'll give a clear example here. An Arctic adventurer struggles to survive hunger and cold. A brother and sister fight over the control of the television. So can anyone in this class or in this session identify the problems encountered by the character? So, who are the characters first on the first sentence? Yes, you are right. The Arctic adventurer. And what would be the problem encountered by the characters? The survival for hunger and cold. And on the second sentence, who are the two opposing characters? The first one is the brother and the other one is the sister. So they are having a conflict on the control of the television. And for us to have more examples of conflict, let's have another definition. So it is known as the heart of the story. No matter what your genre you're writing in, it is essential part of creating a story that will resonate with readers and keep them engaged long after they turn that final page. With that, we will know that the characters are not plain. We will help them reveal their actual personality by making them encounter different problems in the story, how they come up to resolve those conflicts, and to get the values or the morals from that particular story. So, walang magandang magiging characterization kapag hindi sila naka-encounter ng mga suliranin or problema sa kwento dahil ang conflict inilalabas ang tunay na personalidad ng mga tauhan sa kwento. And you know what? We have different conflicts, and the famous conflicts we have in literature are the following. The first one is the man versus man. Another is the man versus self. The third one is the man versus society. Fourth, man versus nature. Fifth, man versus supernatural. The sixth, man versus technology. Seven, man versus beast. And the last, man versus fate. So, in this types of conflict, may mga pumapasok na ba sa isip ninyo kung alin sa mga sumusunod ang nabasa niyo na or na-digest niyo na sa mga nakuha ninyong literary materials which I ask you to analyze? Meron ba? I probably would say that man versus man is the most common type of conflict, right? Kasi usually, we have discussed the antagonist and the protagonist. So you know that the antagonist is the one taking part or the one who gives problems to the main character. That's the antagonist from the word anti. And then we have the protagonist, the main character in the story. So that would be a perfect example of man versus man. But as we dig deeper to our session, you will know that it is not just always the person to be the opponent in the story. So there are others who could give problems or struggles to the main character. So it could be the person herself or himself, the people around him, the natural events, calamities, even the gods and goddesses. We also have robots or other technology-based characters, the animals, and even the fate of the characters or themselves. So let's dig deeper. Let's have the man versus man. The central character faces opposition from another person or group of people. Last meeting, I have also discussed to you that there are a group of protagonists. It could be individually or by group. So man versus man, as concrete example here, two girls compete for the same role in the school play. So who are the people fighting for the same role? The two girls. So the two girls are the characters. They are man versus man. We also have a ninja warrior fights a rival clan to avenge his master's death. In this case, it is a character or a person fighting for a group of people. So it is a form of man versus man, but the antagonist in the story is a group of people. Then we have man versus self. It is a central character facing internal struggle. So ang problema ay nasa sarili ng pangunahing tauhan. Probably we could say yun yung kanyang konsensya or yung kanyang negative thoughts that is keeping him from doing his task. Example here, a young man goes through hard times after losing his father in a car accident. An Olympic athlete pushes his performance to the limit despite his physical disability. So we could digest that the man on the first sentence is having a problem with himself, probably the sadness he's feeling after the death of his father. On the second sentence, the character here, the athlete, is battling against himself for having physical disability. So that is an example of man versus self. Now let's discuss man versus society. The central character or group of characters battles against traditions, institutions, or laws. So we could say that society is a norm, or simply the keyword tradition, institution, or laws that they are following on a specific location or the place or the setting of the story. So here are the concrete examples. A student takes his fight against the school dress code all the way to the Supreme Court. So what is the conflict there? The man or the character, the main character is a student, and his fight for the dress code is the struggle. Therefore, dress code could fall under laws. So it is called man versus society in that manner. Another, a group of students protests in front of the university known for its unfair and racially motivated admission practices. So the conflict there is the group of students, they are protesting for the admission practices. Therefore, it will be against tradition. So the students and the tradition in that particular university serve as the man versus society kind of conflict. Another, let's have the man versus nature. The central character struggles against animals, the elements, or other natural forces. But in this case, class, we have a separate conflict for man versus beast. But in this case, the definition is combined. So therefore, man versus nature could be an animal, an element, or the natural forces such as calamities. Pero don't be confused kasi in other literature, we have the what we call as man versus beast, wherein the beast there refers to the animals, who serve as the problem or the source of struggle of the characters. So let's now have the sample. A castaway washes up on an island and must learn to survive with available resources. So when you say castaway, the one who met an accident, for example, in an island, when the boat crashed, and he's the only one surviving. So the problem there is the castaway struggles to survive because of the shipwreck. So that would be man versus nature. Another example, a ship captain pursues a great white whale through stormy seas. So in this case, the captain and the whale serve as the man versus nature. But if we will make it specifically, we could also classify this into man versus beast because we can consider white whale as an animal. So it's case to case basis depending on your literature or your sources. Man versus nature and man versus beast could be in one form because man versus nature uh, is having a struggle or definition as a struggle against animals, elements, and natural forces. So parang na-cover na rin ng man versus nature ang man versus beast, specifically with animals. Let's now have another, the man versus supernatural. The central character is challenged by forces that are not of this world. So, parang out of this world or hindi makatotohanan. So, you know, the word supernatural, something magical is happening, and the character is struggling with that supernatural being. A boy wizard must use his powers to protect his community from evil monsters. So, who is in conflict? The boy wizard. And what is the struggle? How he could use his power to protect the community, and who would be the enemy there or the antagonist? The evil monster, right? And another example, a group of teenagers live in a haunted house and begin disappearing one by one. Okay, so they are the protagonists are the teenagers, and their struggle is how they could sleep in a haunted house. And their problem, probably there are ghosts there, and the ghosts will serve as the supernatural beings causing them stress. Let's have another man versus technology. The central character struggles or against the forces of technology. Examples here, a group of strangers get stuck in an elevator. Who are the one being struggling? The strangers. And ano yung naging problem? They are stuck in an elevator. So it not necessarily they are robots or others, pwede ring machine or appliances, right? A teenage boy is pursued by robots from space that transform into cars. So that would be another man versus technology conflict. Teenage boy would be the man or the character and the struggle is being pursued by robots. So the antagonist there would be the robots. Pasok sa man versus technology. So magkaroon naman tayo ng additional. Man versus fate. So it's pits characters against their predetermined futures, daring them to resist the powers of the universe. Sometimes that fate is determined by the gods. So the two types of conflict go hand in hand. Kasi pwede pa natin i-classify ang man versus fate sa man versus God. So in this case, yun yung mga gods and goddesses who punish people. Usually sa mythology siya. Or even yung mga legends and folktales, yan yung mga usually may man versus fates, yung may mga cursed, at saka yung mga parusa na binigay sa character given by the deities or the gods and goddesses. So that would be man versus fate. Specifically, pwede siyang i-classify sa man versus God. Okay. Magkaroon tayo ng practice for you to understand or deeply C, saan papasok yung mga conflict na ibibigay dito? So here, let's try. An archaeologist attempts to escape a hidden temple overrun by a vampire army. So identify the antagonist. Yes, you are right. The vampire army. And what is the type of conflict? Man versus supernatural because vampires would fall under supernatural. And so the first question, so this is just a trial for you. You can write your answer on our comment box for me to identify your engagement in our session today. First question, an elderly man struggles to learn how to use his phone. I'll give you 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Tingnan natin. The answer is, you are right. An elderly man struggles to learn how to use his phone. Antagonist is the phone, and the struggle is man versus technology. Next. Two boxers who were formerly friends compete for the championship belt. Kindly give me the antagonist and the type of conflict being shown here. 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You think your answers are right? Yes, the antagonist is the former friend, and it is a man versus man conflict. Let's have the third one. A young woman fights to gain admittance in the elite prep school that was only for boys. What type of conflict is that? So you also include the antagonist and then the type of conflict. Okay, let's have your timer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, let's check. The antagonist is the boys' prep school and the culture of sexism or not accepting, okay, equality for both gender preference. So the conflict type is the man versus society. Let's have the fourth. A group of colonists struggle to survive the winter in a strange land. What type of conflict is this one? Give the antagonist and the type of conflict. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The answer is the cold weather and the hunger. And the type of conflict is man versus nature. Let's have the next. A student, typographical error, a student struggles against the urge to procrastinate and play video games rather than to do his homework. What type of conflict is this one? Give the antagonist and give the kind of conflict or the type of conflict. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Antagonist, the laziness and the procrastination of the boy, and the type of conflict is the man versus self. Let's have the last. Characters often face off with ghosts, vampires, evil spirits, and various other fantastical or mythical creatures. What type of conflict is this one? Tell the antagonist and tell the type of conflict. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let's check your responses. The antagonists are the girls and others being enumerated in our sentence. And the type of conflict is the man versus supernatural. So let's count your scores. Out of 6 questions we have, how many antagonists have you identified? Is it 6 over 6? Very good. How about the type of conflict? Have you get 6/6. Also type your scores in our chat box for me to track if you have understand our discussion today. So with that, thank you so much for participating in our session and for knowing more about the types of conflict. So that would be the end of our discussion for this session, focusing on the literary elements, specifically conflict and literature. So thank you so much. Bye.